This chilling account unfolded a few months ago in that strange limbo between graduation and the real world. My name is Alex, and I'd wrapped up my degree a semester early while it seemed like a brilliant plan when buried under a mountain of assignments. The reality of endless free time quickly became a suffocating void. My full-time job wasn't slated to start until June, and most of my friends were still entangled in their academic lives. I was adrift, caught in the uncomfortable eddy between two phases of my life, a feeling that gnawed at my sense of purpose. I'm the kind of person who constantly needs to be productive, so the days of aimless waiting were truly unsettling. Perhaps that's why I readily agreed when my mom asked me to check on my Uncle Rick's beach house. It was an easy favor, a quick drive down to Rehoboth Beach, a brief inspection for leaks or damage, and some minor maintenance to spare Rick the expense of hiring someone. Oh, and I should probably mention that I'm from Pennsylvania, and Rick's house is in Delaware, so the drive is a manageable 2-hour journey. The house itself is enormous, the kind that comfortably swallows my entire extended family. Every summer, 25 of us crammed into one place, playing raucous games and indulging in a bit too much celebratory drinking. It was a random weekday. I can't even recall which one. A Thursday, perhaps. I set off in the late afternoon, a decision I now recognize as rather foolish. The drive was uneventful, and upon arriving at the house, everything appeared normal. I let myself in and began working through Rick's checklist. I tested the faucets, checked the circuit breakers, and walked the perimeter of the property. Everything seemed to be in order. To be perfectly honest, being there alone felt incredibly strange. I had never seen that house without an assortment of board games strewn about, and the boisterous chatter of family members echoing through the rooms. The silence was without a doubt the most unnerving aspect. The place felt abandoned. Imagine that one place you know, be it a house or a restaurant, that's usually bursting with life and noise when your whole family gathers. Now, picture it empty and silent. Spooky, right? As dusk began to settle, and with my strong aversion to driving at night, I decided to text my mom, letting her know I'd stay overnight and head back in the morning. She approved, reminding me to thank Uncle Rick, which I promptly did. I fixed myself some dinner, idled on my phone for a bit, and then began my nightly routine. During family gatherings, I'd usually find myself squeezed into one of the smaller rooms on the 3rd floor, while other relatives claimed the more desirable, larger rooms. However, with the house to myself, I figured I'd take full advantage. The master bedroom on the 2nd floor boasts a private bathroom, a massive walk-in closet, and a ridiculously comfortable bed. The choice was obvious. I climbed into bed around midnight and quickly drifted into sleep. I don't recall the exact time I woke, only that something jolted me awake. Still groggy, I was absolutely certain a sound had just come from the closet, like something had fallen inside without making a clear impact. I craned my head to peer at the closet, and even that small movement sent my heart racing. My mind was wide awake, but my body stubbornly refused to move. A bizarre sensation akin to sleep paralysis. Yet I wasn't truly paralyzed. I could move, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to confirm if there was something in that closet. I squeezed my eyes shut and willed myself back to sleep. And for a moment, I almost succeeded. But the literal second I started to drift off again, I heard it. A muffled thump from inside the closet. I squinted my eyes just a sliver, desperately trying to convince myself I had imagined it. But I knew I hadn't. As if gripped by an invisible force, I lay there in complete paralysis. No control over my body whatsoever. Unlike before, this was genuine. I couldn't move even if I wanted to. Until that moment, I hadn't truly understood what it meant to be frozen in place. I listened in horror as the closet door slowly creaked open. Through barely open eyes, I watched as a dark figure stepped into the room. It simply stood there beside the bed, motionless, watching me. Perhaps 20 seconds passed. each second feeling impossibly long. Then, silently, it turned and left the room. I remained perfectly still, barely breathing. The footsteps moved across the floor, but instead of descending downstairs, as I had expected, they creaked upwards to the third floor. My stomach churned. The only staircase led up there. There was no exit from that floor. My mind screamed at me to act, but I was too terrified. I couldn't overpower a grown man, and I had no idea if he was armed. The only thing I could do was wait. After a few agonizing moments, trapped within my own head, I mustered the courage to break free from the paralysis. Quietly, I reached for my phone and dialed 911. As soon as the dispatcher answered, I whispered as softly as I could, telling them someone was in the house. I slipped out of bed and just as quietly turned the lock on the bedroom door. Then I waited. Minutes dragged by with agonizing slowness until flashing red and blue lights illuminated the windows. I was genuinely shocked at how quickly the police arrived. I ran down the stairs, threw open the front door, and nearly collapsed in relief at the sight of the officers. They didn't hesitate, storming inside, moving swiftly through the house. I waited outside. It didn't take them long. According to them, the house was empty. I was in disbelief. I had heard the footsteps go up, and there was nowhere to go after that, so he had to still be in the house. The police insisted he must have slipped past me, that I was too freaked out to notice. I knew that wasn't true, but what could I say? The guy had vanished. I wasn't comfortable letting the police just leave, though, so I called Rick. Rick wasn't having it. He snapped at the police, telling them to check again, emphasizing that my life might have depended on it. So they did. They searched again, more thoroughly this time. Rick told me to follow them and observe what they were doing, and I complied. The officers moved methodically, opening every closet and checking under beds, even tapping at the walls as if expecting something hidden behind them. They pulled back shower curtains in every bathroom, double-checked the locks on all doors and windows, and that's when they found it. One of the bedroom windows on the third floor, the very room I should have been sleeping in, was unlocked. One officer stood by the door while the other went downstairs and stepped onto the back deck. I chose to go outside with the second officer, mostly because the thought of being locked in the house with a stranger sickened me. The officer shined his flashlight around the property, but there was nothing out there. He then began scanning the roof. To my horror, his beams swept across something terrifying. It was him. It was that stranger who had been in the house. He was just sitting there on the roof. A disgusting-looking bald man in tattered clothing who appeared not to have showered in years. The next hour was a blur. The cops communicated with each other and they got the guy off the roof and into cuffs. The police theorized he was likely homeless and had been squatting in the house for days, maybe longer. But when they asked him how he got in, how long he'd been there, and why he was hiding in the closet, he didn't answer. He simply maintained that eerie, vacant look, as if none of it mattered to him. He was in the back of one of their police cars shortly after, and that was that. The entire ordeal was so bizarre that it's still difficult to fully comprehend. No matter how much I try, I cannot fathom why that man had been hiding in that closet, of all places. Perhaps he heard me enter the house and hid in the first place he thought of. I still don't know how he got into the house. Rick doesn't either. It's impossible to get to the roof from the ground, so that explanation feels illogical. The rest of my extended family has been insisting that Rick upgrade his home security, but he's refused every time, for reasons I can't explain. The chilling thought remains, had I been sleeping in my assigned bedroom that night, things might have ended very differently. This story has now come to an end. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more thrilling and interesting horror stories, then don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. Thank you for watching my video.